We passed 337 bills in the House as of this week.
And you have the different administrations.
Yeah, this is more than Obama at the same time, more than Bush, more than Clinton, more than H.W. Bush. So more bills have passed the House this year under Donald Trump at this time than Obama and both Bushes and Clinton. The challenge we have is this chart. 274 of them are still in the Senate.
To Senator Mike Rounds, who joins us right now of South Dakota. Senator, I don't know if he was specifically throwing you under the bus, but the Senate certainly, Mitch McConnell probably. What did you make of that?
Business as usual. What we've got right now is the House has the ability to move things through on a margin of one vote. In the Senate, we've got to have, for most items, we've got to have 60 votes. And that means you've also got to have about 30 hours of discussion on each one of those votes.
Yeah,
so
you guys have a lot of rules, don't you?
It's slower.
You have a lot of rules, yeah.
Yeah, some of them we'd like to change, but in the meantime, we've got to deal with what we've got.
What do you think, Senator, when Donald Trump comes along and says, why don't you end the filibuster thing? If you stop that, then we could deal with this health care, then get it done sooner rather than later. We wouldn't be under September 30th deadline that we had to acknowledge and pick up our marbles and save to fight another day. What do you think of that?
Well, first of all, there are parts of the filibuster that we would like to change. There's a group of us that would like to be able to get on and debate a bill without having to have 60 votes to do it. I think there's probably fewer members that would like to change the Senate to a majority vote only on everything. I think that'd be difficult to get done. But take a look at health care. We couldn't muster the 50 votes plus the vice president to get that done. So not everything could be completed by simply eliminating the filibuster at this stage of the game. You've still got to have legislation that brings in at least a majority of the members of the United States Senate. I don't think we're done with health care. I think we're going to move to an interim to where we can stabilize the premiums. I think that's still in the works. I still appreciate what we're trying to do with Senator Lamar Alexander and his team trying to work through in a compromise to try to stabilize these markets while we take another look at it using another bill next year.
So in other words, you haven't given up on that. On the tax cut thing, Senator, is it your hope that this can get done this year? Certainly Speaker Paul Ryan indicated just at the start of this broadcast that was his goal. He's confident of that. Are you?
I think in the Senate, within the conference, we recognize that this will probably be one where we have to have 50, 51, 52 votes, all Republicans, in order to make the first major step. Once we get to 50 or 51, there may be some others who may join us once they know it's going to pass.
Well, that would first be on the budget, right?
Yeah. The budget, I think, will get done. I don't think there's going to be a problem there. But I think once we've done that, then the devil becomes the details in the tax itself. And I like the idea, the way that Leader McConnell has laid this out. He's had all of us in the discussions. He's committed to what they call regular order, where we're actually going to have a committee process. We want to be able to talk about the different parts of the bill. I think what you're finding are members of the Senate now are more in tune and are actually reading the bills. They're looking at them. They want to play a part in this discussion process. It's not just, as you call them, the staffers making these rules. You've actually got real Republican senators that are looking at what's going on within the bills themselves.
Are you worried, though, that whatever the merits of that, I understand this would be a most consequential tax cut in a generation, and obviously behooves examination, but that if it goes on too long, if it goes on for many months, with every passing day, the likelihood of finding broad agreement lessens. Do you agree with that?
I agree with you on that, and I think the goal here in the Senate, as we've discussed, is to get this out sometime around Thanksgiving, either just before or just after. And honestly, members in the Senate that I'm talking to recognize that time is of the essence. And
do you know of any other members or colleagues, though, Senator, who would not be inclined to support it? Like John McCain's name has come up to a lot of people, Rand Paul potentially, that it would be similar to the fight on health care among your colleagues?
I would not specifically identify for any one colleague. I'll let them speak for themselves. Sure. But I will say I don't know of any one of the members in our conference who doesn't want to see tax relief. It's a matter of working through and getting it done in an expeditious manner. I think we all recognize we can't make this work unless we grow the economy. And if we don't grow the economy, we don't have the revenues to pay the bills. And this is going to come back to haunt everybody real fast. It's not a matter of in the future. We're going to see $1 trillion deficit coming up right now. We have to grow the economy, bring the revenues in, and actually be able to pay the bills that people expect us to pay. It's a whole new concept in the United States Senate.
Switching to Puerto Rico, sir, I know you've been keeping an eye on that and providing the necessary funds for that government to rebound from what's apparently been a fairly devastating earthquake, more than was thought. Their complaints over there is that help from the USA has been slow. I know the president authorized, a way to get around the tight shipping regulations so that help can get there. But they're going to need a lot more than earlier thought. Reports in the United States that a number of bondholders are making it difficult for them to get that help or tying that help to still payments on that debt. Bottom line, it's a mess. What do you think of that, and whether Washington should do anything to either speed the process up, change the process? What do you think?
Well, first of all, I think there's a miscommunication out there that we should correct. This administration is on top of the situation. I'm convinced of that when it comes to Puerto Rico. Last night, I actually had a chance to talk with some of the top officials and ask specific questions. When I was governor, we had emergencies. We had major blizzards that would shut down the entire state. Nothing like what they've got in Puerto Rico. This is 1,000 times worse than anything we saw. But the basics are still the same. You've got to get the right people in. You've got to get people in charge. You've got to have a coordinated effort on the ground. I had a chance to talk with Mr. Long, who's in charge of those efforts down there. They've got a one-star general on the ground there right now that's taking charge on the ground. They are moving forward, but they had to rebuild an entire infrastructure for emergency operations. They are doing it. They're saying the right things, and they're moving in the right directions. They're making the right contacts. They've got the National Rural Telephone Cooperative Association, the REAs out there, actually bringing power poles back in. They'll get those folks to actually help rebuild. That place has been devastated, but you had to start with the very basics. They've got the military in there and working it right now. Normally, FEMA comes in and associates itself and coordinates with an on-the-ground state a team that's already in place and that is practiced for this type of a loss. That was all destroyed in this hurricane, and so they've had to come in, and the feds are actually coming in and playing both roles right now. But after my discussions last night, because I was really worried about it as a former governor as to what was really going on, and after talking with the folks that are actually in charge of it from the administration, I can tell you they are, in my opinion, making the right choices, and they are doing it in an expeditious manner. And when I got all done, I couldn't even make a recommendation as to what they should do different, because they were ahead of the game and they were doing their best. They've got real problems down there. Right. I mean, look, people are hijacking trucks down there with water.
No, they're in a world of hurt, which raises my last question, sir. Are you, this is speaking as a United States Senator, I know you're not conducting federal policy here, but given the fact that bondholders have been looking at, Puerto Rico long before this storm was on the brink and a lot of debt payments couldn't make, said it might file for bankruptcy. Do you think they should show more latitude just on humane concerns of what's going on in Puerto Rico now? Do you think they should just show a little bit more compassion?
Here's my attitude. This is a humanitarian crisis. Whether they, as business people, decide to do so or not, the federal government will step in and will take care of the immediate human crisis which is at hand. It doesn't matter what those folks do, we have to step in. These are United States citizens. We will take care of the immediate human crisis, and then we'll clean up the mess that's there afterwards.